I think is a really big deal.
Jim, the questions that we have slated to follow, get to know you a little bit more, explore your career. But before we make that turn, anything else this year that stands out that you wanted to make sure you get in as you look back?
This question, we were talking about this a little bit the other day, and I'm almost wondering if people are getting a little sick of us standing out in the weather. It's something I've always done, and I've made a career out of being in studio and also going out in the field. But it just seems like from some of the harshness from some of the Twitter responses this year that I just think people are kind of getting sick of it. They don't know if it's real or if, just comments of why are they standing out there if it's that bad. If it's that bad and you're evacuating, so I think that's kind of coming around for some reason. And I mean, I've always done it. It's been my job. I mean, one of the things I tell everybody is, look, if I'm going to ask you to evacuate, I want you to go to a safe place, and let me go out there and I'll take you through it. I'll show you what happened. Okay. I mean, that's my job. But I mean, you see people that are on, money channels and news channels. And I mean, people that don't really have weather experience that might not know about storm surge and how quick it's going to come up, might not know that you're about to get into the hurricane ban and winds are going to increase 2 to 3 times of what they've been. Not to mention the energy that's associated with them. I think there's kind of maybe a perception from the public that it's like, I've kind of had enough of this. Or is that something that's coupled with what's going on with COVID? Look, my life's rough enough. I'm dealing with COVID. I haven't been into the office for 10 months. I don't really feel like watching you guys in a hurricane. I don't know. Just something kind of hit me this year about that. And whether it sticks or not, we'll see.
That's really interesting. And I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. Do you feel like it might have anything to do with the media landscape and distrust of information and the way people may be reacting to things?
That could be. That's as good as assessment as I could come up with, too. You've got certain people that watch this, you've got certain people that watch that and believe this way. So now is the weather enterprise getting to the point where, well, since we don't really like what you guys stand for, I mean, it's the weather. I mean, we don't really have to pick a side. Okay, the weather's the weather. It's always going to happen. Is it because more climate news is out there and we're sharing that with people? People are picking a side from that versus what we're actually covering in the field. That's a great way of looking. I mean, that's a great way of at least starting the dissection of what's going on here. But it's just something I've noticed, whether it's true or not or really happening. I don't know, but I just feel like people they just kind of have had it with us being out there.
I always felt like weather was different than politics or sports, where people picked a side because, like you said, weather is weather. And now it seems like that's maybe not the case.
Yeah, but we have to bring climate into it. We have to talk about these things because in some cases it's driving some of the weather. So you can't really ignore that. So whether all of a sudden, if you bring that in, you're being blamed for bringing that in or being labeled as choosing a side, I don't know. But I think that's an interesting way to look at it, for sure.
As a meteorologist that works in a newsroom every day, and we have these major weather events that come through, whether they're hurricanes or whether we have, a huge tornado day. And we talk about, are people getting sick of seeing the reporters out in the weather? I've always wondered, are we doing ourselves an injustice by sending reporters and news reporters into that when they don't, honestly, news reporters don't know a thing about weather. They're just out there to get the story and figure
Right.
out how the people have prepared and done this and done that. So are we selling ourselves short by not sending a meteorologist out there with a reporter to really educate people and to really drive the weather portion of that home? Or are we just out there telling people how people have prepared and this store is boarded up and so on and so forth?
I certainly think so. I mean, if you asked me to talk about what I thought NVIDIA stock was going to do over the next 6 to 12 months, I'd be at a loss for words. I mean, that's not my expertise. I'd be like, I got to find Kramer. I got to get Kramer on here to tell me. But it's in that same genre. I mean, when you're out there just reporting on the weather, I mean, it's one thing, being in it, but when people see stuff flying around at you or coming at you, and especially if you don't really know what's about to happen as a reporter, I mean, I think that's kind of building a little bit of, gosh, what are they doing out there? What are they doing out there? Why are they out there?
If you were just starting your career today and you came through college recently, do you think you would land on the same career track you're on now, Jim Cantore of the Weather Channel, or do you think you'd end up being Jim Cantore, the YouTube star?
When I started at the Weather Channel at 22 years old, there was a lot for me to learn, and I'm still learning today. When I was surrounding myself with guys like John Hope and Mark Mancuso and Bill Keneally and Bruce Edwards and Bill Shue, I mean, the early folks at the Weather Channel, I mean, I was just like a sponge and absorbing that information. And that certainly, I think, helped me get to where I am without question. Having to learn from those guys, especially from a broadcast standpoint, because, we're broadcasting so much on the Weather Channel. Schwartz and I sat down one time and figured out when we did a 4-hour shift, we were on like 25 minutes of that hour. So, I mean, there's 100 minutes, if you will, of talking, and you have to fill that with something. So that's a lot, and that's going to get you built up to speed in a hurry. But I mean, I look at where we are, guys. We've got Fox Weather, we've got Weather Channel, we've got AccuWeather, we've got Weather Nation, and then why ever all those networks are out there, I'm not going to speculate on that. But we have all these, national television networks, because the people that are starting them up know that they can make money on them. Okay. There's weather, there's money in weather. And B, I just think there's a desire for more weather information out there and the delivery of it at all times in the day. So I think if I was just starting up, I would probably want to be a part of that, be a part of a group to learn and certainly get up to speed on my broadcasting techniques and also my meteorology. I mean, when Michael Lowry came to the Weather Channel as our tropical expert, I mean, he was just a smart kid. I mean, I just loved listening to him and his theories on things and how he looked at tropical meteorology. So, I'm learning from the kids now. I'm learning from you guys now, which is just wonderful. I mean, that's the beauty of this science. You just never, ever stop learning. I don't care how old you are or how many years you've got in the business.
Here on the show this year,